Welcome back everyone to Pontos Fathom Hobbies. This is our part 2 video of A Song of Ice and Fire batch paint through of the Lannister versus Stark starter set. We're flying over the Lannister pieces that we finished painting in part 1, and now we're going to cut over to the Stark pieces for part 2. We're also painting the Clegane Brigands with this, as well as the Cranogman trackers. So you can see we've got the Stark forces are just Zenithal primed, and we're going to get into that. We'll review some of the painting we did. Here's the Lannister Guardsmen that we've got looking pretty good. Have not clear coated them yet or based them yet, but we'll get to that later. Here's our Clegane troops, our Clegane units, and we got Gregor Clegane there as well. And we'll also be painting the, finishing off the lead figure. So here we have our Stark swordsman. And we've also got our, just a test paint job of what we're going to kind of go for, the look we're going to, I just started doing this as a palette picker. So here are the kind of colors that we're going to do. I'm getting my, use a gray, a sky gray with a blue to kind of wash out, give it that kind of bluish gray tone tunic. And we'll go with the blue for any cloaks or capes. And we'll also be painting all the horses on this one. So we didn't get to those Clegane horses last time, but I'll be doing the effort to do those. So right now I'm just going through them. We're starting off with this Stark swords. Just painting them with this blue-gray mix. Getting their tunics for front and back with a nice base coat. See here in detail, just kind of making sure you hit the... And again, this is the first paint post the Zenithal Prime that these models are getting, so we can get it be a little bit not too detailed here. This is probably a number 3 brush that I'm using. And then I'm going to use just the plain sky blue, and I'm thinning this about 50% water here. 2 dabs of paint to 1 dab of water, and then mixing it up in the mixing cup. And I'm using this for the Stark. Should gives it a nice coating for it. Yeah, so filling in all the back pieces and using it to paint the front tunics. From there, basically we'll be using obviously flesh tones for the face. We're using a brushed silver for the chainmail. And as the Starks are not as sort of opulent as the Lannisters, we won't be using as much gold on the Starks. We'll be focusing mostly on blues and silvers. You can see we're getting the horses set up here. So I've got all of our horses, both the Clegane Brigands as well as the Stark cavalry. So we got 4 and 4 of those. So I'll probably go in and just with a light brown, give the horses a good base coat across all of them just to kind of get some coverage on them and start the rendering for the horses. The horses have great detail. They've got tons of saddle material. They've got great silver buckles on them. They've also have riders that are characteristic for each of the groups. So there's 4 Stark riders. So again, they'll have the similar blue colors. And then the Clegane ones, I'll go with those yellows. I'm making them a little bit more yellow-orange, kind of like a umber type of color. Just kind of taking the clue from the box art. And then the cool thing about the Clegane Brigands is they've got an assortment of weapons. I think one of them has a Morning Star, the other one has a mace. There's swords and an axe. So it's a great range of weapons. And of each group of 4 horses, there's 1 bannerman. I was a little surprised to not see the Clegane hounds on their banner. I was going to go ahead and try to paint one in there or pencil one in and then paint it, but I just went with the plain yellow for the bands later, you'll see. But yeah, so you can see just kind of getting that base coat on these horses. Again, this is just thinned down with 2 parts paint, 1 part water. And yeah, the coverage looks pretty nice, and I'm kind of going with all the horses. So you can see our first fly through here. Just the horse part of it painted looks pretty good already. Lots of great details here. Okay, so then catching up from some leftover tasks from House Lannister, I'm going to go ahead and hit Jaime, Cersei, and Tyrion with some washes here. just between waiting for things to dry. And then I'll probably get into the Umber Berserkers next. Obviously, we'll also hit the Stark sort of named characters as well. So we'll do those a little bit later in the video. So I'm going to do a little bit of repaint on Cersei and Jaime. I noticed that there was a cool effect having a red undercoat and then the gold armor on top. So I'm going to go with this. Okay, so now we're going to go back to this swords, and we'll do some highlights on the helmets, shields, the swords, and we'll also dry brush the chainmail areas just with normal silver. So again, for the silver, I tend to keep it a little bit thicker, maybe 3 parts paint, 1 part water. You don't want to over thin the metallics because they get a little wonky. So yeah, you want to have good coverage on the metallics. So I tend to water them down just a little bit less. I mean, I keep the brush clean a lot. Also, I find the brush gets gummy. So I think that extra water that picks up in having the brush clean, it probably comes out to 2 paint, 1 water. But it's not a science for me. I just kind of have a feel for it, and I think as the brush gets gummy after a few minis, rinse it out. Especially with the dry brushing, you can I kind of try to do the dry brushing organically. So as my brush gets dry, I'll just have a little bit paint left in the brush, and then I'll hit the chainmails with that. Then I'll clean the brush and start over again, painting helmets, shield. Brush gets dry, scrape the chainmail. So you can see what they look like with the blue and just some silver accents on their helmets, on their shoulder armor, and their shields. It's one of the commander units with the cape. Still thinking of what color for the fur on the back of those coats. Okay, now we have the Umber Berserkers. Umber Berserkers, I took the clues also from this guy's got double axes, just primed. It looks cool still. I took the clues using a reddish, I'm going to use a red and iron black, which is a reddish black, and just mixed a little bit of that iron black into the red and make it a kind of a dark blood red to paint these the main leather tunic overcoat, let's call it, and then an undercoat would be in a sort of a leather color. First of all, hitting them with the red in batch, and then I'll go and hit the undercoat in the leather color, which I'll probably use a desert yellow for. I will show you guys all the paints. I'll make sure there's a sequence in here where I stack the paints and give you guys a fly through so you can take a look. I don't really plan out the palette as much as I go mini by mini. You know, what the palette's going to be for the Sworn Swords, what's the palette going to be for the Umber Berserkers, and then kind of do variations from there. So right, these guys have gotten hit with the red paint, and kind of going through. I also got the, basically I'd asked you guys what the color for the Lannister plumes are. I had left them unpainted, so here I am, I'm just going with red. So if anybody has a suggested red, thank you for your suggestion. We're moving forward. I do also like having a chance to take another look at the minis after I've done the painting on them. I found a couple of places to highlight, touch up. I think that maybe I won't fully base them out of this one. So now we're going to go through with all the leather straps. So I've just got a earth red, they call it. I believe it's earth red. Just using this kind of leathery red to leathery brown to just grab the largest straps. The Sworn Swords have got the network of belts, and they also have some straps that hold on their shoulder plate armor. So the shoulder armor that strap across the chest and the back. So you got to get those as well. And try to do it. I tried to do it with just enough paint on the brush to be able to lightly go across it and not over paint it. As you guys can see there, a quick clip. I've got the magnifying glass here as I speed through these. I think that this, if you ran all of the video I took, it's probably probably a couple of hours of paint time. I don't videotape every moment I'm painting in the batch. I just do sections that are characteristic of something. So say if I've got 2 trays of leather, I'll do 1 tray as part of painting, and I'll do the other tray just off. So you get the idea. It's probably, I probably did all of the part 1 and part 2 painting in a course of 6 days. So it was quite 3 days each. Maybe the last section was 4 days. This part 2 was 4 days, just because I do the basing as well. And yeah, so I've got the I'm doing that Umber Berserker undercoat. You can see that leather with the red looks quite nice. So they are well base painted. I also hit the axes and swords with some silver color for them as well. So the Stark army is starting to take form with tabletop standard, let's call it. And next, let's go and hit some Cleganes up with some of this orange and yellow mix I've come up with. Just a dab of orange in this, just to kind of get their cloaks, tunics, under armor, shirts, and any the flag, obviously, and any other cloth that we have on the riders. I'm going to hit them with this yellow-orange color that I've custom mixed here. I kind of like how, they look. I like this guy with the real yellow, and this guy with the axe looks great, and this guy with the outstretched sword. So they're really 4 characteristic monsters. Now we got the Krenigman trackers. Again, we got the Clegane guys, or our extra box set. Let's get these Krenigman trackers. I checked a guy's video out, and I like how someone did these guys in a way that was like Robin Hood-esque. Oh, here we go with the, these are our Stark horsemen. And I've also grabbed the cloaks of Robb Stark and Catelyn Stark, just trying to get them ready. So now I'm going to do a quick Reikland wash over the horses, just the horse flesh here, just to kind of get the horse to look normal. And now you can see these with the wash applied. I also went and hit a little bit of chainmail with Nuln Oil, and you can see. So for the Krenigman trackers, I'm going to go with this kind. I saw this one painting palette. I mean, it's sort of inspired by the box, making them look kind of like Robin Hood meets Wood Elves, kind of like almost like a Legolas stylized idea. They're all spry-footed and high dexterity looking guys. They're all in running poses. So I think that their cloaks are all flowing. So let's go with like the green cloaks and some kind of brown leather and some khaki for their armor and clothing. And then I'll make them brown and blonde haired for their long hair. And then obviously their bows, giving them some off-white plume and some silver tipped arrows. So kind of that's the palette I've kind of come up with for these. And this starting off with this green, yellow, I've started with the light green and then just add in a little bit of the dark green until it gets to the level that's just a little off that dark color, because once the wash hits these, they will be darker. So I wanted to kind of lighten up the green a little bit. Washes always tend to darken everything. My Lannisters kind of came out a little bit dark. I like it though, because it makes them seem a little bit more like the final days of the Lannisters, like a little bit more raunchy looking, a little bit more like these guys have been out stretched in battles for too long, but they're still sharp looking. They still have that Lannister militaristic, so you can kind of see the walkthrough of these Krenigman guys. They're looking pretty good, and you've got the Umber Berserkers looking good. So we've got undercoats on most of these guys, and now I'm going to kind of go through again with the flesh shade and just hit all of their khaki underclothes, the green cloaks, the blonde hair, and their faces. I'm going to give them a full wash. I will hit the faces just to leave the features strong enough, and everything else is more of a light wash. I did notice I focused mostly on where there was leather seams and something that was some characteristic where the wash could sink in and add some texture. And I did a little less so on the open areas just to sort of make it make sense. you can see they came up looking pretty good. And here's the whole unit. I kind of went with all blonde here. You got some guys with the hoods up, the archers and the runners. It's pretty good. And you can see these guys. I've given them that blue. I'm hitting hair and beards now, and then just touching up a few things like the axe poles and things like that. And also hitting the fur cloaks with the brownish color. So here's the flyover. Got the Lannister guardsmen. You got the Clegane team. More Lannisters. You got the Clegane horsemen. You've got the Stark horsemen. You've got the Crannogman trackers. We've got the Umber berserkers, and we've got the Sworn swords here. 2 units of these guys. So yeah, and also our flagmen. And then we've got the painting for the heroes. So I did some touch-ups on all of the heroes, both from Lannister and Stark, and then did some painting for them. And here's a quick hero shot of all the paints used that you guys can kind of go through and count all those and take a look, freeze frame that if you like. And then here's Catelyn, Sansa, Robb Stark, Tyrion, the whole group, looking pretty good. I've got them washed. Now I'm going to do just a quick black basing for all of these. I'm just going to hit them with some flat black, and I will also hand paint all of the mini bases flat black. I'm going to, I've got this amazing Icelandic black sand that you guys might have seen. I based my Conan figures with, so I'll do that basing as a separate video probably. But here's just a massive run through of I probably spent a good 2 hours basing just black and mini black. I mean, there's hundreds of minis here, so takes a little bit of time. But it's worth it once you see them all on the black bases. Looks quite clean and ready for our first battles. So I think it's Lannister Stark is the first battle that's coming up. Let me give you a preview of the battle mat that I've picked up for A Song of Ice and Fire, and you can see what these are going to look like in our first game. We'll do some hero shots and I'll lead you out with that. So first, starting off here is House Stark, Crannogman, the swordsmen, our cavalry, our Umber berserkers, and then in the back we've got our bannermen and our heroes. And then same fly in for House Lannister. We've got the halberdiers, we've got the Lannister guardsmen, we've got our Clegane unit, we've got our Clegane brigands on horseback, and we've got our heroes. And then we get our first aerial shot of the 2 armies facing off on the mat. Guys, thank you all for watching. Please leave your comments below. Like and subscribe if you want to get notified when we launch our first game. I will be busy learning the rules for this and watching some tutorials to get ready. So thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for your support, and we will see you soon in the channel. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.